Good morning, students. As we all know that We and Our World is our book of social sciences for class 8th. The contents of the book divided into 3 units. Unit 1, Resources and Development, deals with geography. Unit 2, Our Past and People and Society in Modern Period, deals with history. Unit 3, Rule of Law and Social Justice, deals with civics. Students, our first chapter of civics is chapter number 16, our Constitution.
Have you heard the story of Constantinopolis? Long, long ago, a group of adventurous people from a faraway island set out to explore the oceans on Earth. They sailed on a ship laden with gold, silver, food, wine, and everything else they would need for a long journey. For the first few days, it was smooth sailing. And then a storm broke out. It was a moonless night. What was that? The ship had run aground. By daybreak, the storm had blown away. People came out to check the damage. They looked around, and there was no sign of life as far as the eye could see. With no hope of continuing their journey, some people set about building shelters for themselves. Others went fishing and hunting. Days turned to weeks, and weeks to months. While some toiled, there were those who lazed around and complained. They started fighting over authority, land, work, and just about everything. Some members of the community did not hunt, but stole from those who had food. Quarrels were frequent between the settlers. To make things worse, they had to fight local inhabitants who lived deep inside the island. Territorial battles were frequent, and they often led to death and destruction. As the months flew by, matters got worse, and chaos reigned, until a few wise men from the settlement and the tribes decided that things could not go on this way. They met and discussed the problem. What is to be done? The wise men decided to define and enforce a set of rules for managing the island. As constitutio is the Latin word for rules and orders, the wise men decided to christen the island Constantinopolis, and they call the rules constitutio. However, the wise men argued over whether or not to write down the rules formally. Some believed that a written set of rules would be unwieldy, inflexible, and difficult to amend. Others believed that for the same reasons, formally written rules were important. If rules are formally established, it's difficult for people in power to manipulate them. The group that was for a written constitution won hands down. So the rules were written down and circulated to everyone. The constitutio provided for the election of a council to implement the rules and govern the island. It defined the rights of the citizens. It also set out the process for mediating between the council and the citizens. Citizens who flouted these rules were to be punished. In short, the constitutio ensured that Constantinopolis was properly governed. Peace returned to the island, and gradually, Constantinopolis prospered.
Students, the very first chapter of your civics is our Constitution. Before we study the chapter our Constitution, let's understand what is the need of the Constitution. why we framed the constitution. So students, as you know that if someone asks you to play a football game, you want to know the rules and regulations of that particular game. Same like that, if you will go to school, then you will wear the school uniform. It means behind each and everything there are some rules and regulations. Same like that for our country India and for other countries, we need some rules and regulations which can regulate our life and make it civilized. But students, there are some rules and regulations which are in written and oral form. These rules and regulations are known as constitution. Students, our constitution is a body of fundamental rules according to which the government of a country functions. It means that in our constitution there are rules, but not only for the people but for the government also, so that we will come to know in how the government work upon us, what are their responsibilities. Next, it contains powers and functions of various organs of government. Means there are various organs of the government: legislature, executive, judiciary. They cannot fight with each other for their powers and the functions and become arbitrary. So there are some rules, regulations, and their powers and functions are also mentioned in our constitution. Student, our constitution not only explained us about the rights and duties of the citizens, but the relationship among the people and the government also. The rights of the citizens, like when they will give vote, after how many years they will go for vote, what do you mean by universal adult franchise, without any description, without any discrimination we will give vote. All these things are mentioned in our constitution. Means the power of the government, the rights of the people, and their mutual relationship about the people and the government is also mentioned in the constitution, so that there will be a smooth functioning will be going on in our country. Next is, our constitution is the primary source of all laws, because every judgment, every work is in India is done by the help of the constitution. After independence, there were so many problems in our society like poverty, illiteracy, and fighting of the people related to their caste, color, religion. But the constitution is there which provide them equality and try to solve them their each and every problem with the help of reservation and other equal responsibilities and opportunities. Last but not the least, it gives a detailed description of fundamental principles on the basis of which the laws are made and country works. It means in our constitution there is the detailed description of our fundamental rights, duties, our law procedure, and how our country works, how it will work for the welfare of the people. So at the end we can say that our constitution is the supreme law of the land, according to whom we all are bound to perform our function, whether he is a common man, a group of people, any representative elected by the people, but means we all are under the constitution and it is supreme. It regulate and explain us some rules and regulations which require for our life. Thank you.